Hello, how are you all doing today? My name is Fizzer. We are here today to talk about some Warzone. We are going to be going over the updates, and I'm going to be answering questions from the community. I hope you're all having a great Friday. So this is a stream I do probably about once a month. This is Ask Fizzer Anything. I am Fizzer. I am the creator of the game Warzone. I created this game way back in 2008. I've been working on it ever since, and I hope to continue working on this game the rest of my life. So today we're going to be answering questions from the community. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in Twitch chat here, and I'll answer them the best I can. There's also a forum thread where people have asked questions ahead of time. We're going to be going over all those. We're going to be talking about the recent update that was just a few days ago, update 539. We're going over everything that changed and talking about why some of it was done and how it was done, and a little bit talk about the future. So let's get into it. So 5.39 update just came out a few days ago. This is an update that is currently, at the time of this recording, it's live on the website and it's live on the standalone client. It's also live on Android and iPhone, although most people's devices have not yet updated to the latest version. If you are on Android and iPhone and you don't have the newer version yet, you can probably go to the App Store and download it and update your device, with the exception of iPhone users playing the Warzone Idle app. If you don't know, there's a separate app for Warzone and Warzone Idle on both Android and iPhone. So the iPhone Idle app is always the last thing to get updated. So it's not out yet, but if you're on the main Warzone app on either platform, you can get it now. So let's talk about what's new. So one thing that's new is emojis, and this came out of the feature request forum. If you don't know, there's a forum on the website and in the mobile app called the Feature Request Forum. This is a place where people go to request features, basically have your voice heard on what you want to see implemented in Warzone. One of the items that was submitted recently was emojis. People wanted the ability to see emojis, so that was added in this update. And the reason that has to be added, it's kind of unfortunate. Ideally, every emoji would just work. But unfortunately, that's not the reality we live in the Unity app. On the website, all emojis work because it just pulls from your operating system. But in the Unity app that powers iPhone and Android, unfortunately, we have to ship every emoji that we want to display with the app. And that's just a restriction that comes from the Text Mesh Pro library that I'm using to display text on the Unity app. It can't pull from your operating system, which I always thought was really dumb. A long time ago, I even got into a debate with the creator of that library, where he was trying to tell me, oh, it's not really needed. And I'm like, are you kidding? Of course it's needed. People want to be able to see every character. This is also why some advanced, like Korean, Japanese, and Chinese characters may not show up as well, just because every character that's shown in the app has to be in the app, so it takes up a lot of memory to include every character. It's not really realistic to include all of them, but what I did do is I decided to add about 50-ish. I ended up adding 55. And people might be wondering, how did I decide which 55 to add? And what I did is I went through every Warzone game and I scanned every chat message that had never been sent to it. If you don't know, Warzone multiplayer games have been going on since 2008. There's about 37 million games have been played. And so what I did is I wrote a little tool that went through I started going through all 37 million. I think I got through about 27 million of them, which I think is enough. It's the majority of them. And I looked for emojis that people had sent, and I counted up how many times each emoji had been sent. And I got a big spreadsheet, which I can show you. Let me open it up here. How did we end up with so much communism? Yeah, I was surprised by that too. Apparently a lot of people send the hammer and sickle emoji. So let's go through this. Here is spreadsheet. So what you see here is a list of emojis like slightly smiling face and smiling faced with smiling eyes. And then this column right here is occurrences. This is probably the column people are most interested in. This is in the 27 million games I scanned. how many times was this emoji used. And I only looked at game chat. I didn't look at chat room. I didn't look at forums or player names or anything like that. Just keep it simple. Let's sort this descending. So the emoji that was most used in the 27 million games I scanned, face with tears of joy. And that was used 291,000 times. Number 2, rolling on the floor laughing, followed by the classic, smiling face with open mouth and cold sweat. And over here, if you look at these columns, so these top 4, those 3 plus grinning face with smiling eyes, these 4 were already supported in the app even before this update. They actually shipped default with the TextMesh Pro library I used. So that's probably why they were used so much, because they actually worked on all platforms. The top one that was not supported, that still got a lot of use, was thumbs up sign. It was not supported before. It is supported now. So basically the way I decided which new emojis to add was I just looked at what was used the most and was not currently supported. So thumbs up side and pouting face are the 2 most frequent ones that were used and were not supported, and now they are. And you might be wondering, why were people using these if they didn't work? And well, some people are on website, and so they did work on website. They only did not work in the Unity app. Also, the other reason some people might use an emoji, even if it's not used, is because they don't know it's not used until they try it, right? They click the button on their phone, they put it in chat, and it shows up as a box because it wasn't supported. And then they're like, oh, that sucks. And then they don't use it anymore. So, but it still got recorded, and it still would be included in my stats here. Let me go over some questions real fast. Do you use Redis in WL or SQL database to everything you have in game? Warzone is primarily powered by Postgres database. It also uses a little bit of MongoDB, but Postgres does the bulk of it. Of course, you use what was always visible in the app, yes, but now you'll have more options. If you looked at chat rooms, Godzilla would have put coffee on top of that list. Maybe. I don't know. There's a lot more games than there are chat room. Coffee, wine, champagne should be included. And we can add more in the future. There is room for a little more. There's not room for that much more. Well, I mean, let me show another thing. Open recent. Yeah, so this is the texture that gets shipped in the Unity app. And so these are all the emojis that it currently can display. You can see we have room for 7 more down here. There's also some that are like the member icon and the vacation and diplomacy and block list and the hourglass that are reserved for Warzone's use in this same spreadsheet. But other than that, it's emoticons, emojis, and we do have room for some more. So if you guys want more, you can feel free to submit that to the feature request form. And I in theory, this thing could be made bigger as well, and then we could have room for a lot more. But it's a 1024 by 1024 texture at the moment. Maybe communism emoji because of this clan, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. Maybe, I don't know. Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. Maybe, I don't know. Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. Yeah, when I clicked that link, it unmuted the stream. Sorry about that. How much room does a single emoji take? I think they are... What are they? They are 128 by 128 pixels in VRAM. Global chat is our coffee house, but it'd be nice to include those. Feel free to submit it to the feature request form. Hello community, thank you for an amazing game. Application feels well built. I'm enjoying it very much. Thank you. I am glad you enjoy it, and thank you for your kind words. So other emojis that were commonly used are winking face, grimacing face, hammer and sickle, which is the 9th most used emoji. I don't know why. I did verify the data to see that it's correct. I looked up a bunch of games and saw people using it. I'm like, okay, fine. It's actually used that much. I don't know who's using it. I can only speculate, but it was picked because it is used. That is the only logic. So if the icons are small, surely a lot more can be added then, or is Warzone strictly memory storage optimized? Yeah, in theory, more can be added. I don't know what the limit is, but yeah, in theory, more can be added. Smiling face with sunglasses, black heart suit, disappointed but relieved face, loudly crying face. Pile of poo is now supported. Poop emoji. Face throwing a kiss. And then this one was a little weird. Emoji modifier, Fitzpatrick type 1-2. I didn't actually know what this was before I started this project. I had to look it up. This was apparently used 12,000 times. Apparently it's a modifier. It modifies the skin tone of the next emoji that comes after it. Unfortunately, that's still something we don't support because, again, I have to put every emoji that we do support into this big texture. So I don't really have alternate skin tones for the emojis. So this is the top one. It's not technically emoji, but this is the top one on this spreadsheet that is not supported, that was skipped. And then we already had smiling face with open mouth and smiling eyes. But we have added the OK hand sign. Moai? How do you say that? Am I saying that right? I don't know why this was so high. Did anyone know why this emoji is used so often? And frog face. And then we have this standard smiling face, the old school one. Thinking face makes sense. I understand why that's needed. Smiling face with horns. I don't know what the smiling face with horns is meant to represent. The male sign, used very commonly, apparently. Notably, female sign, not used commonly. So it was not included. It's probably on here somewhere, but... And then we have, this was the first one that I made an executive decision on. Reversed hand with middle finger extended. I will waffle back and forth a couple of times if we want to actually include this one in the app. I figured as long as we have limited space, we probably should not. I mean, at first I said, oh, we should probably skip it just because it's like, I mean, really, if you're throwing the middle finger up at someone, that's kind of in violation of Warzone rules anyway. And then I reversed my decision, and I'm like, no, we should include it, because if people are just playing a friendly game with their friends, there's no reason that it should not work. Generally in Warzone, my philosophy is if you're playing a private game, only with people you know, and you violate Warzone's rules, and as if you're like disrespectful to each other or use offensive language, as long as nobody reports you, and it's a private game that no one can see except you and your friends, I don't really enforce the rules in that. The must treat people with disrespect rule. So I'm like, sure, I'll throw the middle finger emoji in. And then I thought about it more, and I'm like, well, we have limited space. We're taking away another emoji that actually is more respectful. Plus, like, the moderators are going to have to do work on enforcing people using this. So I'm like, all right, we'll take it out. We'll not add it, is what I meant to say. So this is the top emoji that I made an executive decision to not add. This is amazing. I've been playing Warzone since 2011. It's come a long way. Thank you. I agree. It has come a long way. Thank you for your kind words. Thanks for stopping by. I'm glad you enjoy the game. Is it male sign a modifier too for some emoji? I don't know that. Next topic, emojis are boring, but we have amazing things like grimacing face, slightly smiling face. The top emoji that didn't get included just because we ran out of space was tractor. So, yeah, there's that. I also made a couple executive decisions. I added the upside down face, so even though it wasn't the highest used one. And I added person with folded hands, because I think that one's used a lot more. And the thumbs down sign, because I figure we have the thumbs up sign. We should also have the thumbs down side. Those are the ones I included. So, potato, sorry potato. No potatoes. Face with look of triumph. Sorry. Where's coffee on this list? Coffin. Is there no coffee? Maybe it's called something different. I don't actually know what coffee is called. Can I Control F? Can I copy this? Control F. Search for that. It is there. Oh, it's called hot beverage. And it only got 108 uses in 27 million games. So that's why it was included. All right, so that's emojis. Okay. If you speak too loudly, your voice half cuts out. Maybe your noise filters are a bit too powerful. Let's see. How about now? Is that better? Coffee probably isn't used a lot in the games itself. Yeah. Am I too quiet? Let me know if I'm too quiet. So that's emojis. Real-time nudge. This is another feature that specifically got done because it requested. Too quiet now. Dang. This is why you don't adjust audio in the middle of a stream. Just a second. Okay, is that better? Okay, so this was the most requested feature request that was not done at the time, which was make the nudge button usable for real-time games. So that is now done. There was a lot that went into it. I thought a lot about the best way to solve this problem. I thought about like automatically sending nudges to people who weren't playing or about to get booted in real-time games, but I decided to leave it up to nudge just because I think if it was automatic, it might become too annoying. But allowing people to nudge someone, you can only get nudged in a real-time game if you are 90 seconds away from getting auto-booted. And you can only get nudged once per hour in a real-time games. And so I hope this works. This is something I kind of consider this an experiment. If it doesn't work out, we can change it or adjust it. So feel free to send me your feedback on how you think real-time nudge. So nudge gives a notification however your notifications are set up in your settings. So if you go to account settings, you go to notifications, you have this big list of ways you are notified. And then there is a nudge category here. And it does a push notification, email, or in-browser push notifications. This is the in-browser push notifications is the new type of notification that was added in the previous update. It will not be an in-game mail notification. An in-app notification is what I call those. I specifically excluded those because I think there's no point in having nudges show up there. But the nice thing about push notifications is if you already have the game open, like if you're on Android or iPhone, push notifications specifically means Android, iPhone. I should probably update this text to make that clear. But if you do have push notifications enabled for nudges and you already have the game open in Android or iPhone, literally nothing will happen. It won't pop up anything. It won't send it to your phone. It won't put it in your notification tray. In fact, you won't even know you got nudged, which is actually maybe bad. I don't know if that's actually ideal, but at least it won't annoy you if you already have the app open. Now, if you switch to another app, if you're off browsing Facebook or whatever, and somebody in your 90 seconds away from getting booted and somebody nudges you, it will put it in your notification tray and it'll make the little sound if you have notifications enabled, of course. You never knew the in-browser push had its own settings? Yes, it is just another channel that you can get notified through. So there are technically 4 channels. The one where I was mentioning before is in-app notification. In-app notification means it delivers it to the little blinky mail icon in the top right corner when you are on Warzone. And that one is disabled for nudges because I don't think there's any reason anyone would ever want it there. Maybe if somebody wants it there, you can ask for it, and I have no reason not to put it there other than I don't think it's useful. So yeah, that's what real-time nudge does. And if you don't want it, you can come in here and disable it. But hopefully you shouldn't need to do that because it should be rare that it happens. Hopefully people aren't going 90 seconds to boot very often. If it goes there, it'll be too late. Yes, that's kind of my thoughts too. And the next thing I'm going to talk about is the 3D map designer. So, and this one was actually the bulk of the work in getting this update out. This was a lot of work. But what this is if you are on the website and you enable 3D mode, which you can do in the settings, you go to your name, account settings, and then check this box for 3D mode. You will be playing the game in 3D. This is something most people probably don't use yet, but the game looks a little nicer. It's got like a cool new it's a whole new rendering engine. If I find a small Earth game, those usually look the best. So, like, this is what it looks like in 3D. You can see it looks quite a bit different. Let me pull up a side-by-side comparison. 3D equals false. You can also pass 3D equals true or 3D equals false. So It's the command line. So this is what it looks like in 2D. This is what it looks like in 3D. You can see it does look quite a bit nicer. And it's got these textures, and it's got height maps and all this stuff. So the 3D mode is the future of the website. Right now, 2D is still the default, so most people are playing in 2D. So what is enabled is for map designers. So for people who make maps, you can now come in here and you can do so in 3D instead of 2D. Whereas before, this map designer did not work if you had 3D mode enabled. Now it works. That's all it is, basically. Getting that to work was quite a bit of work, but I will say the map designer was the last thing that didn't work in 3D before. So now that it does work in 3D, literally everything works in 3D. So that is just a step, kind of check that box, get that off. It is now fully complete. Does that mean that the URL param will also work on just Force Scene Map Designer in 3D mode? In theory, yeah, now it will. Prior to the update, it would not have worked. Next step equals 4D. Yeah, we'll get there. But I will say that if you are a map designer and you are working on the website, as most of the map designers are, you now have access to all the 3D features, this 3D settings dialog that allows you to upload textures and height maps and all that stuff. And you might be wondering, if you are a map designer that worked on the website, you might be wondering, how come some maps get these cool textures and height maps and stuff that you don't have access to? Well, now you have access to them. So if you're a map designer working on the website, you might be excited to check out those features, and you probably should to make your maps look better. As I said, 3D is the future. Eventually, 3D mode will be the default for the website. Is there a video tutorial for 3D maps yet? I have not made one, unfortunately. I think ideally there should be, yeah. And I do think a lot of the UI in the map designer needs a lot of work. I don't think it's very intuitive right now, unfortunately, but at least it is functional. Make it functional first, and then we'll make it intuitive. So yeah, that's what that is. This is just a step towards making 3D mode the default. Now that 3D mode works everywhere on the website, it's another step towards making it the default. I'm still not quite ready to make it the default or really push it and turn it on for everyone. There still is some more work that has to be done, particularly around performance of extremely large maps. Like if you go to some of the biggest maps, like if we sort by number of territories and we pick up like IS, what is this? View map. IS World War Super Game Europe. This is a giant map with 4,000 territories. I can load it up in 3D mode, and I don't know if you can tell, but it's a little laggy. It's actually not too bad, but I have a pretty high-end computer, so maybe that's why. You can see it's maybe a little low frame rate. I need an FPS counter on here somewhere, but it does work. It's playable and everything, but I wouldn't call it a great experience for the very largest maps. So that's something that I plan on addressing. How is it with army numbers on? Doesn't feel too much different. It'd be nice if I had an FPS counter, which unfortunately I don't, but it is a little laggy. But so that's going to be something I am going to be working on. But as long as you're not playing on super huge maps, 3D should work fine for you. So yeah, and then those are the big ticket items. There are a bunch of other changes down here. This one there's a few I'm actually really excited about. I see the arrow animations lagging, so yeah, that might need a bit of work. It becomes the default. Yes, that is why it is not yet the default. So turn number separators to game groups and private chat. What this is when you are in a game with chat, like, I don't know, do I have a game with chat? Nope. I don't want to load up like a huge diplomacy game. That'll have like too much. I want a game with a medium amount of chat. Yeah, well, you guys know what I'm talking about. There's little separator lines in here showing what turn number each message came on. Previously, those were only in public and team chat. Now they're also in game groups and private chat. That's all it is. You were very excited about that change. Good, me too. Quick Quick Match now calls out in the description if one of the player is the top 100th ranked players in the world on a template. I really like this one. I haven't heard anyone talk about this yet, but I think it's really cool that if you come in here in the description, let's see if I find another one like this one. This is what it looks like. So anytime you are in a Quick Match game, you can click at the settings, and it shows you the match rating of every person. So it's always showed the match rating. So like in this game, CIOZ was rated 449, and I was rated 815. But now this new thing is added, which is if you are in the top 100th rated player on a template, it will actually call that out. So you can see I am in Autodist. This is Autodist, right? Yeah, Autodist. Now Autodist, I am rated 60th in the world, so it just kind of puts it there. I think this is fun, especially when you have people who are both highly rated and you have a game like, you know, number 2 versus number 5. You'll be like, oh, wow, this is significant. This is a game between the 2 highest rated people. I will say this only shows up if your rating is at least 600. I did that just to make sure templates with very small amounts of data don't get like stupid stuff being put there. If there's only, like when a template is brand new, there's only one person that's played a game on it, they're technically not ranked 1 in the world. That doesn't really make sense. Even though I guess technically they are, but logically they aren't. So it only activates once people start getting above 600. And then if you're always curious to see the full leaderboards, of course you can do that. You can come in here to Quick Match, click on leaderboards. You can click to a template, and then here is the full listing, and I should be around 60. I'm 808. I gotta go to page 2. Such shame having to go to page 2. I'm currently 59th. I was 60th when that game happened. So yeah, I just think it's a cool thing to put on there. So even though you could access this data before, it's cool to have it in right there in the description. Kind of calls out a game if it's a significant one. And this is just a little thing somebody asked me for. People were like, how do I create mega games? Mega games are, of course, the feature that let you create games with more than 40 people in a game, all the way up to 400. Mega games do cost money to create. And so before, they only showed up if you had enough coins to actually make one, just because I kind of didn't want the option being thrown at people when they didn't. When like you're a brand new player, it's probably not going to be your first game. So, but people were asking me like, how do I create a mega game? I don't know how, because the option doesn't show up. And I'm like, okay, that's a fair criticism. It probably should show up. So it now shows up as long as you've reached the 40 player invite limit. So it still won't show up for brand new players. But at least if you've done that, you will now see it and you will now know it exists. Make Quick Match load 75 players per game? Sure. Why not 100? Why not 200? No, I mean, there has to be a limit to keep the game page performant. But yeah, it can probably load 75. Oh, you say load 75 because I'm number 60? Yeah. This is a problem that's existed, that's now fixed, that's existed since I think like all the way back, probably 2008, 2009. It's finally fixed. Somebody emailed me about it, and I'm like, yeah, I should probably finally address that. And here's the problem. If you came in here to any of the text boxes that exist on the Create Game Settings page, and you start putting in decimal points here, like if I go to the Emergency Blockade card, and I say I want this to be worth 2.22 multiplier on number of armies. So this will save, and what's always worked is it will save the exact number you typed in. That's not new, but what will happen before is when you load this page, it would only show you one decimal place. So like if I type 2.22 and submit this, and then go back to change card settings, you can see now it still says 2.22, which is exactly what I typed in. Before, it would have truncated it to 2.2 because these only showed one decimal digit. And then if you click cancel, it would use the existing save 2.22. But if you don't cancel and you actually come in here before and you didn't put that 2 back in and you click submit, it would have changed it to 2.2. So you would have lost a decimal point of precision just by going to the page and clicking OK. So that was not an ideal solution. So now it doesn't. It keeps up to 2 decimal points. Haha, yeah, some templates you literally couldn't edit after clicking submit because it would mess with the numbers. Yeah, that's unfortunate. But good news is it's fixed now. It took a long time. I have to thank you for the mute chat button. You are welcome. You're talking about the one that makes it so it doesn't show up on the dashboard. Yeah, I use that too for like the big diplomacy games. I don't really want to come in here and read chat every time it comes up. You can see there is pending chat. It is blinking down here, and it does not show up as unread chat on this page. That's because I checked the box that says in the settings panel that says right here, mute public chat notifications. There you go. That's what that is if you don't know what I'm talking about. I saw you had 22.0000003 on that block. Yeah, that is, I agree. Let me write that down. I will get that fixed. That happens because the code just says like .toString on that object, and it doesn't specify the number of digits to show. And it also happens because of double precision rounding errors, because like if you divide things in like most programming languages, they use like a double precision or a single precision. And if you do certain divisions, it ends up like very slightly off from the correct number. The fun of floating point numbers. Yes, exactly. So there's a few bug fix here that I don't need to go through explicitly, unless anyone wants to hear about them. If you want to hear about something, the story behind some of these, I can go through it. Added a prompt to multiplayer games asking if you want to enable browser notifications. So browser notifications were added in the previous update about a month ago, but a lot of people didn't know they existed because previously the only way to turn them on was to go dig around in the settings panel. Now you're actually prompted if you want to enable them. So this is a good thing. This is something that people have asked me for a long time, browser notifications in general. Because like they will start a search for a game, like they'll go to Open Games in their browser. They'll join like a really huge game. And then they will deactivate the tab and they'll go to another tab and they'll go browse the internet or do whatever they're doing while they're waiting for it to start. And then when it starts, they don't know, because Chrome and most major browsers these days do this thing where if the current tab, if a tab is deactivated, if it's not the active tab, they stop running the JavaScript on that page. And if they don't run the JavaScript on that page, then the sound won't play. Warzone code does try to play the sound, but if the browser doesn't allow any of its code to run, then you won't hear the sound. So notifications is a way to solve that. You can enable in-browser notifications, and then you will get notified as long as your browser is open. I believe your browser needs to be open. Not 100% sure exactly how that works, but it's very nice. You can see people you've been chatting with instead of searching. It's very nice that you can see people you've been chatting with instead of searching for people and accidentally missing something. Yeah. I think you're talking about private chat in games, in multiplayer games. How you can see the little icon next to people that you've chatted with before. I think that's what you're talking about. That was added like a few updates ago. Yes, private chat. Cool. I'm glad you like it. That was a highly requested feature. And again, the feature request forum. Where'd it go? I had it open before. If you guys want features, a lot of these things that are getting done are because people requested them. Yeah, and even if you don't want to request your own feature, you can come in here and vote on other people's features. You get votes based on your Warzone level. I think you can get up to 11 votes if you're the max level or close to the max level. There's no max level. If you're of sufficient level. And I get one bonus vote if you're a member. So you can come in here and you can put up to 3 votes into an item. So if there's something you want, feel free to vote for it. Make your voice heard. Fixed red notification numbers. So up here, if someone's chatting in a group you're in, should be a little number above it. That used to work. It was broken. Now it's fixed. A bunch of other fixes. Again, I'm not going to go over every single fix. Fixed team tab is a statistics dialog. It's funny how this one little thing in here on the website, the teams tab of a statistics dialog was broken. And this item right here took me so many hours of work. It was this big layout issue. It was this huge investigation across multiple days. It's funny how it's just one minor little thing in the changelog that most people probably would have just glossed over, never thought about. For me, this was like my life for the better part of a week. More UI style improvements, notably to lobby. And actually, I pulled up the lobby earlier of a game. Decided to leave it open because I knew this was coming. This looks much more consistent with the rest of the app now. Before, this page used some weird like brackets around the players and some UI styles that weren't used anywhere else. Some things that originally I had done and I thought I was going to use more, and then I never ended up using them anywhere else. So this page ended up looking out of place. Now it looks like the rest of the app, and I think it's much better. Particularly, I like that there's a big box that says message from host. And then there's like a box where it's very clear what part is the message from the host. Before, the message from the host kind of blended in with everything else, and it wasn't entirely clear. I think it looks a lot better now, in my opinion. Or we could do before and after pictures in the blog post for next UI changes. I agree that would be a good thing to do. And I thought about doing it too. I'm just so lazy. Not lazy, I'd just rather spend that time like making the app better than spending time on the blog post. Does it auto hide if there's no message from the host? I believe so, yes. Let's see if we can find an example. Do any of these games not have a message from the host? Shouldn't open up a diplomacy game. Diplomacy games will definitely have it. And team games. Open up. Who makes a boring game that doesn't specify a message from the host? Let's see. Nope, message. Oh, here we go. Second try. Sorry, Fex homeschooler. Sorry for calling it game boring. It's not boring. It just doesn't have a message from the host. Here's another one from Buck. Good job, Buck. Oh, a third one. Quite a few games, actually. Mitniks. 3 of the games I opened up did not have a message from the host. Do you make enough money from the game to work it full-time? Yes, I do. This is my full-time job. I've been working full-time since 2010. So for 15 years, this game has been my primary means of supporting myself and only form of income. And I hope to continue doing that for the rest of my life if I can. Okay, matchmaking. Let's talk about Clan Wars matchmaking. So there was a clan. I won't name names, but you guys know what I'm talking about. There was a clan that was found a way to exploit the Clan Wars algorithm. And I don't blame them for this. This is, honestly, it's a fault of the algorithm, not a fault of the clan's behavior. They basically found a way that they could lose games on purpose and exploit the free wins that are given out. Now, the idea of giving out free wins, I still think, is a good one, and it's solid, and we shouldn't stop giving out free wins. Free wins are given out if someone joins a clan war template and there's no opponent for them to play, as in they joined the template and they were ready to play and they didn't have an opponent, maybe because it's a 1v1 and 5 people join, and so you can make 2 games, but the 5th person then doesn't get a game. And they shouldn't be punished because they were joined and they were ready to play, and so they should get a free win. That makes sense. But people found a way to exploit the system such that they could get an unusual amount of free wins by intentionally losing games. And so the fault is not in the clan. The fault is in the algorithm. So this update fixes the algorithm. I don't know that it's a perfect fix, but at least it's something to try, and then we can adjust it more as needed. So the way it works now, of course, the first time slot I open has no free wins. I was just going to show a free win. Yeah, again, no free wins. Wow, there are not many free wins anymore in recent templates. Here we go. These 2 people got a free win because they joined a strategic 2v2, which requires 2 players from each clan, and 6 people joined, which is enough to make 1 game and get 1 free win. They're not even the first clan to do it, but clan is the first clan to do it with a clan war point system, so it's much more noticeable now. Yeah, there's absolutely nothing wrong with going for free wins, but manipulating your clan war rating is the fault of the algorithm. So the way that's fixed, and I can just pull up the code. Make match ratings. Oops, wrong button. Ah, crap. Stop, cancel. Okay. So let me make this more presentable. This is what the code looks like. Basically, it is going to take your clan war rating. It's going to normalize it on a scale of 0 to 1 based on everyone else's rating, the max rating and the min rating. And then it's going to normalize your rank, which is your position on the leaderboard. It's going to make that into a normalized rating between 0 and 1. And then it's going to blend that, and it's going to take it's going to blend those two values. And right now they are blended 40%. So 40% means it uses 40% of your rating and 60% of your rank. And it blends that together and it makes a number. And then that number is what's used for matchmaking. Whereas before, it simply used your rating as matchmaking. Now it's blending your rating and your rank together to make a rating. And all this boils down, the whole point of this is just to make it so top clans get matched against other top clans. If you're Mythbusters, you're more likely to get matched against Nightclub and Prime and Harmony. The people that are in the top 4 should all get matched, be more likely to get matched against each other. That's all this change is designed to do. You get to see code. It's lovely. Thank you. I'm glad you found the code lovely. And people at the bottom of the clan leaderboard should be more likely to match against the people at the bottom. That's all we're trying to do here. And I think that's the right thing to do because it is a competition. And if you're in a competition for number 1, you should be matched against other people who are competing at the same level. So what some clans found a way to do is they found a way to manipulate their rating so that even though they were a top clan, they were getting matched against people at the bottom. So we just don't want that. So this is hopefully a fix to that. We'll see how it goes. We can always adjust it as needed in the future, but I think this will solve it quite well. Another small change that was made is clan war free wins now give slightly more ratings boost. I don't think this will have a big impact, to be honest. I kind of just threw it in there because why not? I thought it was a little too low. But this is not the real fix to the problem. The real fix to the problem is the blended matchmaking. Clan wars free wins used to give 1 ratings boost, now they give 2. So it's a very small change. I don't think it will have much of an impact on anything. It should probably even give higher than 2. I just kind of was conservative because I didn't want to throw things. I didn't want to change that too much. I wanted this to be the main change. Are clan wars stuck in a no game zone for a much shorter time now? Potentially, yes, because it is doubled from 1 to 2. Clan war clan pages now show total number of wins so far in the season. This was something that was just requested, so I threw it in there. Someone pointed out it probably should have been there from the beginning. I just didn't think of it. So there's this little grid at the top where it kind of shows a bunch of numbers. So now they have total wins so far this season. This is the one that was added. So that's all that is. That again came from the feature request forum. The map designer now allows you to download the textures. So this comes, when I was working on the designer for the website, I realized, there's no way to download the 3D stuff that you put in there because there's some 3D textures and height maps that you can upload into your maps. You could upload them, but then if you lost the file, you wouldn't be able to download them back from the file. So I added that. Added the ability to download them back. For textures, you can download them back as is, both on the website and in the Unity app. Where was that? I thought that was in here. It's under all. Yeah, you can download the textures from both. The height map, unfortunately, you can only download in the Unity app. That's because downloading the height map was actually more complicated. For one thing, I don't actually store the height map image you upload. When you upload a height map, I turn it into an actual height map, a map of heights. And I'm not going to go into what all height maps are in the stream, but if you know what height maps are, just know that you download a reconstructed version of it. That's all it is. I don't know I want to talk about this too much unless people are interested in and want to hear more. This was a one I'm actually really excited about. I don't know that anyone actually was bothered by this, but in the map designer, in the Unity app, I know a lot of people don't design maps in the Unity app, but if you did, let me pull this up real fast. There was an annoying issue. Let me pull up one here. Yeah, 3D is fine. There was an annoying issue when you're making territory connections where it would be like a little bit delayed or laggy. And it's just fixed now is all it is. But there was an issue where when you go to drag, I should use a smaller map for this example. When you go to drag a territory connection from one map to another, you would let me go select territories. Here we go. When you would click and start dragging, this green line would not appear right away. Basically, there'd be a delay. You'd have to move a certain number of pixels away from where you started the drag before the green line would show up. And it was kind of a bad experience. It made it look weird, but and I never liked that. I always hated that, and I always wanted to fix it. And now it's finally fixed. So that's all that is. You can see now the green line appears instantly. It is very quick. So that's all it is. In my map making I did, which is not much, I did summon Unity since the browser used to lag too much. Okay. So did you notice that there was a delay when you were clicking to make your territory connections? If you did, it should be gone now. Favorite tournaments were not showing up on profile pages in the Unity app, and that is now fixed. That was a bug. I think they did in the past. And then a bunch of mod stuff. We're not necessarily going to go through all this mod stuff, but it's a bunch of stuff from mod makers. I forgot about that. It's been years ago since I did. Okay. Hopefully it's a good experience for everyone now. All right. So that is everything in the blog post that we're going to talk about today, unless there's something specifically people want to talk about more. I can go into more details on it. We're going to go through all the questions that were asked ahead of time in this forum post. And then that'll probably be the end of the stream. Quick stream today. I'm trying to do quicker updates. Like this update was less than a month from the previous one, which is about where my goal is, less than a month per update. I like doing that. Whereas in the past, we've had some monster updates that took a long time. I don't like doing that. I like having rapid updates because when people report bugs or request small features that are easy for me to add, I like to be able to add them and get them into the app relatively quickly. So I think about once a month is a pretty good cadence for updates. So because of that, the updates might be a little bit smaller than they were back when we were doing like multiple months per updates, but I think this is better. It also means the streams are going to be shorter, but that's fine. For matchmaking, so we already talked about the math behind matchmaking and that. I think I already answered your question. Could you please do the live streams on YouTube or do some on YouTube? So I do post the recordings to YouTube. But if you want me to, I don't know if you're asking me to stream on YouTube. I don't know why that would be better than streaming on Twitch. If there's a compelling reason to do it, I'd be interested in hearing that reason. But right now, I don't know why. We have a lot of momentum on Twitch, and I don't know. Twitch is working fine. Would it be easy to add icon to username if there is notes? We're talking about the private notes feature. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how easy it would be, but I would say that if that's a feature you want, feel free to put it on the feature request form. Personally, I don't use private notes much, but yeah, I don't think it's well implemented, and I don't know how many people even use it, to be honest. Would you be willing to go over user data for the past few years in a broad sense? Number of active users signed in weekly versus monthly and yearly, along with general trends. I think site usage is down. I don't actually follow that data, so I actually don't know the answer to your question. You guys would be surprised with how little time I spend on analytics and stuff like that. Like, I know there's a lot of big companies where they have whole departments where they just analyze the data of all their users and what they're doing and all that stuff. And like, I'm just like, I mean, I'm a one-person company, so every minute I spend doing that analyzing stuff is 1 minute less of improving the app. My general philosophy in running Warzone is I spend my time improving the app to make the app experience better, make the products better, rather than spending time on analytics. Not to say that spending time on analytics can't be useful in making the app better, but I don't think it's the best way for me to spend my time. So I actually don't know. Where do you see clans going in the future? Do you plan to force clans to have size limits? That is not currently something I'm planning on doing. I don't know where I see clans going in the future. I do like the idea of adding more clan features. I'm totally all for it. I think clans are a solid feature. I think they certainly get plenty of use. We all see each other in clans, and I think the more clan-related features, the better. Yeah, and I definitely would like to add more. I'm not sure off the top of my head exactly what I would add. It's not something I currently have any plans to do. But yeah, submit your ideas to the feature request form, and I will be happy to read them and think about what more clans can do. Can there please be officers in clans with the ability to invite others only? Okay, so right now clans have 2 permission levels. You are either, or maybe technically 3 permission levels. You're either a normal clan member or you are a clan, I forget what it's called. I mean, there's the creator, there's the person that created the clan, and then there's a clan manager, I think it's called, or something like that. Managers can like invite others, people, and kick people out and stuff like that. And the creator can, of course, do everything the managers can do. Plus, they can recover the clan if they ever get kicked out of it or leave it. They can come back into it as a manager. And so you're asking for a 3rd or a 4th level, which would be only the ability to invite others. And I would say, sure, I have nothing against that feature. I think that's a good idea. Let me zoom in for the people who are watching this in a smaller box. I think that's a good feature. That's the kind of thing that I don't really feel strongly about, positive or negative. Like, I don't think it's a bad feature, but I'm not sure how much it's needed. So this is the kind of thing, my decision on whether or not this feature got done would entirely rest on how many people vote for it on the feature request forum. So feel free to put it on the forum and vote for it. Clan roles would be cool. Kick, invite, manage forum, edit titles. Yeah, sure. And thank you for the subscription, Catman, for the Prime subscription. What is something you would really like to add to Warzone, one day or another? So one thing I'm working towards right now, and today's update was a step towards this feature, is one of the things I always try to strive for is I try to minimize the amount of work that someone has to do to start playing Warzone. Streamline like the new user experience. And if you're on a mobile device like iPhone or Android, right now you have to install the app to play Warzone. There is no way around it. If you want to play Warzone, you have to install the app. And installing the app has a lot of friction. It takes a while. You have to go to the App Store. You got to click install. And on some platforms, you even have to like give your password, which is dumb because it's a free app. Or use your biometrics. Or some kids don't have permission to install apps on their device. For whatever reason, there's people that want to play a game without installing the app on a mobile device. And I would like to make that possible. And in fact, the 3D rendering engine that I've been talking about most of the stream was designed to work in a mobile browser. Now, it doesn't quite work well yet, but I want to fix it up so that it can work in a mobile browser and you can play Warzone in a mobile device, on a mobile device, in your browser without installing the app. That is one thing I'm working towards. And then along with that, I'm going to streamline the user flow so it's like really easy to get into a game. And like invite your friends to a game and just start playing. Minimize friction to starting playing the game. I think that is something I want to do. I've talked about this a little bit in the past. It's been on the blog, but that is a goal I am working towards. Any thoughts on handicap for winning multiple Clan War seasons? Clan Wars has been won many seasons in a row by the same clan. A special handicap be added for a clan that wins multiple times in a row to give clans a shot of winning. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that feature. The idea of a rating system, and this is true of Clan Wars and the ladders and everything, is you should be rewarding people who play the best. It's not about a revolving door. It's not about spreading out the rewards to a greater number of people. It is about accurately measuring the skill level of the players. Now, there are sometimes changes needed to the algorithm, like the ones we just made this week, around matchmaking and stuff like that, but that's not about intentionally hurting people who are just because they're winning. It's more about more accurately creating a fair competition. Honestly, I think the reason that the number one clan has won so many times is because they're just better at the game. And so like the way to beat them is to get better at the game. I put another question in the forum before the stream started, so please refresh. Sure, we'll refresh. And then it looks like this is the last question, so this is going to be the last thing we do at this stream. With the powers of hindsight, do you think having a separate idle app was a good idea? Are you able to convince enough idle players to start playing Warzone outside of the arena games? So yeah, I do think having a separate idle app was a good idea. So the idea behind having two apps is, even though the main Warzone app has both games, it has idle and classic, the idle app specifically starts you in idle. And the reason that's needed is because some people just don't want to play Warzone Classic. It is 2 games, so the danger of having one app with 2 games in it is sometimes you end up only appealing to the subset of people who like both games. That's not always true, but it's sometimes true with some people. So having an app dedicated to idle, I think, makes sense for people who are like, I like idle games. I don't like Warzone Classic. If that was for people that fall into that category, if they download the Warzone Classic app, they're immediately presented with Warzone Classic. Like, it starts up into the Warzone Classic tutorial. They would be like, this isn't an idle game. I'm out of here. And they would just delete the app or whatever. Having an app dedicated to idle makes sense to attract people who like idle games specifically. That's kind of the idea behind it. And are you able to convince enough idle players to start playing Warzone outside of the arena games? Again, that comes back to analytics. I don't really know the answer to that question. I don't personally go and try to convince people, so I don't know. There are some features in the idle app that, make it clear that, hey, Warzone Classic is also a thing. And it also tells them how to play Warzone Classic. So if you're in the idle app, I don't have a way to pull it up on stream real easily, but if you're in the idle app, you can go to the little top right button, and I think there's a button that says like about Classic or something like that. It might be in the help menu or something like that. It basically tells you how to take your existing Warzone idle account and move it into the Warzone Classic app, so you can get access to all Warzone features, not just idle. I don't know how many people do it, to be honest. I don't collect any data on that, but it's there for the people that want to do it. So at least you can direct people. If I'm in support with someone and they're confused, I can at least direct them. Hey, click this button, and it will be explained to you. Luck is a huge factor. There is a factor of luck. I do think that it makes sense for games to have luck as a factor. There are pure skill settings in Warzone. You can create games that have absolutely no randomness whatsoever. And for people that want to do that, that's great. I don't think that is a completely necessary thing. I think over the course of many games, luck will even out and the better player will win. But Idle still has like everything in it. Idle plus SP for tutorial plus MP for Clan Wars Arena. It has some of Warzone Classic in it for sure, but it doesn't have everything. Like, you can't just join a quick match game, which is the way most people play Warzone Classic. Is you go to quick match and you click play now, or you click invite me to games if you want multi-day games. And the Idle app does not have that. It does have some multiplayer in arenas and Clan Wars, yes. It just doesn't have all of it. It also doesn't have open games and tournaments, and there's quite a few things. Also more efficient to have 2 apps. You just told us that you don't want to waste your time by staring at analytics. So I'm a little reluctant to suggest this. But are there really that many people out there who want to play Warzone on a different device but don't like installing apps? My gut says it is a very small demographic. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. I definitely think there are. I do get contacted by people sometime that say they are going through great lengths to play Warzone on their mobile device without installing the app. It can be done right now if you are determined enough to make it happen. It's not a great experience. I wouldn't recommend it, but like, it is theoretically possible. And some people do go through great lengths to make that work. And so I know that at least some people are in that bucket. How big of a bucket that is, I don't know. But I do think in general, it's always best to have the most ways to play. If you look at something like Words with Friends, I know that people, at least I think, that people play that in their browser. Maybe for work phones or school managed device or something along those lines. Maybe. I don't know what it is, to be honest. But I do think it's worth allowing people to play the game however they want to play the game. I also just think I think the scenario I think about is people just want to try the game. They just try it. They don't want to have to, they're not interested enough in installing the app to try it. They just want to try it. And then some percentage of those people will be like, hey, I really like this game. And then they install the app and then they're hooked. And then 10 years later, they're in my stream saying, hey, I found your game because I was invited by my friend in a browser. Stuff like this happens. Okay, so that was an odd music. Optimizing Warzone so it runs in a mobile browser is a bad idea, but UI-wise, it might be a waste of time. Might be. I don't think it will. All right, I think that is everything we had on the docket to talk about today. So unless there's any last second questions, that's going to be the end of today's stream. But thank you everyone so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next one. I hope you have a great weekend. Have a good weekend. Bye.